AVP Wargamers, it's Jason here with another video. I've got in my hands The Hunt Begins Unleashed. AVP. The Hunt Begins Unleashed. So, this book, it's kind of hard to get. You have to do it online only on the Protos web store. And this is finally the tabletop rules for the Aliens vs. Predator miniatures that usually get used for The Hunt Begins. Also have with me couple examples of the Warzone Resurrection books. And you can see, comparing wise, AVP Unleashed is a lot smaller. But you get all the core rules for the war game in this book, which is the exact same core rules found in Warzone Resurrection. The difference is that Warzone Resurrection has way more factions than AVP, obviously. But I'm going to go through this book, kind of show you my impressions for that. And again, this is a really small book. This is a little bit bigger than the mini 7th edition 40K book. When you get Warzone Resurrection, it comes with, if you get the starter set, it comes with the big heavy rule book and then the smaller mini book. It's the exact same book. This is just your handy dandy pocket size version, and big pocket, but it's your the version that you want to carry with you to your games. This one you want to put on your shelf and as a collector item, because it's the same book, but it's a lot bigger and it's got, you know, these full page spreads and stuff like that. Anyways, let's get on to AVP Unleashed. Now, I did a video of the PDF version not too long ago, which you can download for free on my AVP Wargamer Facebook page, which is the same book, only this is the final version 1.0. What I have is the work in progress version, which they said the rules are a little bit different. I haven't finished reading the other versions, so I'm not even going to worry about that. Anyways, here you go. Protos Games and Fox put together this. Well, it's all Protos Games, but Fox gave them permission. And let's get a little bit more light there. There we go. So you got a little bit of story being told at the beginning of this book. Got your general rules, your priority, colliding rules, cumulative, dice rolls, rerolls, etc., etc. Attributes for a model. It tells you what the stat lines are all about. And here's your line of sight. Some more fluff. Definitions. These are all your keywords and definitions for the game. Some more story. And your game turns. So you have your beginning rules, which are your preparation and your deployment. You have your control phase, activation phase, and end phase. And the way this game plays, it's you take turns moving units and activating their abilities. So it's very you go, I go, but with one unit at a time, which I think is pretty dynamic. And it's an action point-based game, so you could like move and then shoot, or shoot and then move, that sort of thing. It's a lot more detailed in the way it works. You have your different types. You got your infantry, vehicles, and flyers. Yes, you can get one of those guys. They're limited run, but they're like $200 American. So if you want to get a dropship, you better order it before they run out. All right. Characters, advisors, army commanders, squad commanders, squad rules. Sorry, my voice is a little rough. I had a long weekend of doing voice work. All right, there we go. So your list of actions. So you can walk, charge, battle focus, evade, shoot, close combat, spot, run. Those are some of the actions you can spend your action points on. Then you have your free actions. You can pivot for free. And then you have a melee move, which is kind of like a pile-in move, like a 40K. And those are the different kind of things you can spend your actions on. There's other things you can spend your actions on, depending on your character, like setting up sentry guns, things like that, opening doors, whatever. So here's your rapid fire sentry, things like that, and then some more story. And then it's the resource cards have not come out yet, but if you have this book and you're waiting for your resource card deck, you can use the Warzone Resurrection cards temporarily until they release those cards. So I can't wait to get my hands on some of those, because the artwork that I've seen coming out from Protos is pretty awesome. Like, look at that. The artwork's really good. So I'm impressed with the quality. And even though a lot of people complain that this book is really small, I think it's perfect. It's, a rule book shouldn't be any bigger than this, really. You need this whenever you play your games. All right, so there's your abilities. So you can look them up real quick. Excuse me. Weapon classifications. Weapon abilities, equipment. We'll talk about terrain and different things that terrain does. You can attack structures. It talks about your movement through terrain. Here's your ranged combat. And Protos does these really neat little spread charts to kind of show, like, you can perform a ranged attack action, and then you nominate a primary target. And then depending on if it's a yes or no answer, the tree goes to one of these other boxes. So it's kind of a flow chart of how to do shooting. Excuse me. Shooting template weapons. Yes, you can still use template weapons in a tabletop game. So don't throw away all those 40k templates. Save them for this game. Close combat talks about different attack arcs, including elevation, which a lot of other war games don't do. Games Workshop. So there you go. You got your elevation attacks and things like that. That's pretty cool. And there's another flow chart for close combat. Saving throws. Talking about saving throws. There's another flow chart on how that works. And a lot of this stuff, once you read it once, you'll have it down. You won't have to be referencing that very much. Morale. Vehicles. Here's your vehicle hit table and the effects that has on vehicles. So if you're sad about 40k's change in vehicles, switch over to Warzone or AVP, because they have a little bit of an older fashioned version of a vehicle combat. But it's still pretty cool. Destruction of transport vehicles, entering a transport, exiting a transport, pivoting. More on transports and squad coherency and activation. Some story. Building your army. So this gives you tips on how to build your army, or what your force charts are regulated as. Got your little army roster here. And I suggest downloading the PDF version so that you can get this, in full scale and just print it off rather than trying to photocopy your little book. Deployment. So it has different deployment for just, match play. And here's a little bit more detail on stalking and infiltration and rapid deployment. Flank deployment. More story. Missions. So here's a whole bunch of missions, which the thing I really like about Aliens vs. Predator is all the cool missions that you could make up. And you can use, different sci-fi movies, including the AVP movie franchises, as a template for how to set up a mission. Like, one of the things I really want to do is do like a get to the choppa kind of mission where you have a small group of Marines that are trying to get to an exit point while the Predators are trying to hunt them all down. So I think that'd be pretty cool. But, the book comes with a lot of missions here. Let's see. Last Stand, Retake the Field, Fubar. Yeah, a lot of cool missions. So it has 10 missions to pick from in the book. And then you have your secondary objectives lists. advanced rules using the combat deck. So again, you don't have to use a combat deck, but if you want to use it for advanced play, you can do a lot of cool stuff using those cards. Large scale battles talks about how to kind of get that together. And yeah. And then we have resources, movement, range combat, close combat, escalation leagues, so for league play. A lot of stuff about how to run a league. That's pretty cool. 4 phases of AVP Unleashed. We got different point size games that you can play here. More storyline. Some league charts. So yeah, this is cool. This really encourages people to really start up like a little gaming league and really get involved and start a community around it. Which, if you're an Alien Predator fan and you haven't been a part of the AVP Wargamer Facebook page that I started, it's a great resource. We have over 1,000 members on there. Everybody's really awesome and sharing, and there's a lot of really cool artists that have been releasing a lot of homemade things that they're sharing with people. So definitely check out our Facebook page and join up. It's really cool. And it's been really fun for me because as a hobbyist and gamer, I found that being able to share my love for the Alien Predator universe, along with a bunch of other war gamers, has been, really rewarding. I get to live it every day, which is awesome. Even in between work, which is cool. All right, so here's the factions, aliens. Got our beautiful picture of the Crusher there. This talks about your army abilities. Here's the stats for the Hive Mother, which is the big queen for those of you who know the comic books. She's the Hive Mother of all the aliens. So she's a badass. Then you got your stats for the Queen. Your stats for the Praetorian, which is kind of like a guard for the Queen. You got your Evolved Warriors, which I haven't seen what kind of model they're going to use for that yet. Pred Alien. Your Infant Warriors, which are your newborn critters. And I never really liked the term infant, but after watching Alien Covenant, I realized they grow into that size in a matter of minutes. So it does make sense that this would be an infant, and the older they get, eventually they'll turn into a warrior. You got Stalkers here. The Stalkers are your dog aliens from Alien 3. Spitters, which if you're familiar with Aliens Colonial Marines, Spitter aliens are pretty cool. Facehuggers, which are amazing because they can spawn more troops for you by killing your opponent. Royal Guard, this is interesting. They have Acid Spit, Brutal Claws, and a Tail Spike. I wonder what this is going to look like. The Royal Guard in the comics had horns, but yeah, it's very very interesting because this is it says serving as the guard for the Hive Queen. These xenomorphs rarely venture far from the hive proper. So these are vastly larger than a warrior, and so I think they are referencing the ones from the comics, from the Aliens Genocide comics. Your Crusher from the Aliens Colonial Marines game. There's your big 90-point Crusher. And then the Monstrosity, which is the Hive King. There have been a lot of fan art of the Hive King, and other people have made models for this, but I hope that when Protos releases an official one, that it'll look like those, because look up Hive King on Alien Hive King on Google, and you'll see some cool stuff. All right, the USCM, which are the Colonial Marines. Army abilities. Dutch Schaefer and Lieutenant Lynn Kurosawa. Sorry if I butcher your name, Lynn. But this version of Dutch Schaefer, yes, it's Dutch from Predator. But this is the video game arcade version of him, and he's part synthetic. So if you're wondering why he's lived so long, that's because he's part android. And then Lynn, she's a cyborg soldier. So pretty interesting character. Got your captain and your sergeant. Weyland-Yutani commander and a synthetic advisor. I'm so happy they have synthetic rules. That's so cool. And narrative, like an advisor, like, you know, that's not a troop. That's a guy. That's that one guy that comes along with the missions to either screw things up or be your friend. You know, if you're looking at Bishop or Ash, there's your rules for him. Then you got your Marine infantry, colonists. Again, very narrative to have a bunch of just regular human colonists. Prisoners, there you go. There's your Alien 3 scenario. Use those rules. Or you could use those for the some of the figures in the movie Predators, if you want to recreate that. Got your Weyland-Yutani commandos. That's cool. They got some flavor text down here and there. It's really cool. Colonial Marine heavy support. So your rocket launchers and minigun operators. Hooray. Your power loader. Weyland-Yutani exosuit, which is like a power loader, only it's armed with a ton of guns. Then your APC, which I hope Protos releases their official version, which will be really cool. But there are a lot of other APC toys out there that you can use for the game. So that's pretty cool. And then the Cheyenne dropship. The dropship. 340 point model. So that's a beast. This will blow up a lot of stuff. Then you got your Predators. Army abilities. There's all your close combat weapons for easy reference. Thank goodness. All in one page. That's awesome. Your Elders and your Battle Masters. The Battle Master has an awesome ability. Death Walking. This ability allows you to do a follow-up move and you get an instant free attack once you've killed something, which is chain reactive. So your Battle Master can literally kill one guy and then waltz through an entire squad, wiping them all out if he can get within range. So if you're fighting against the Predators, beware the Battle Masters. They'll just tear a hole through your army. So that's pretty awesome. I'm excited about that. Machiko Noguchi from the original AVP comics. I'm so happy they made rules for her. This is really awesome. Female Yacha, which is basically the same rules as a male Yacha. But it's pretty cool. But this model cannot join a squad. So she's like very independent. She's an independent woman, ain't need no man. Got your tracker with the hounds. So that's your Horde Master Predator. I like the artwork for that. That's pretty cool. Young Bloods. And your Blooded. Your Elite Predators. And your Berserker. Which is awesome. Ooh, not done yet. Soldiers. And Hunting Bike. Yes. Jet bikes for Predators. You could do a lot of cool conversions with that. And then your soldiers are your like military trained Predators, which is really cool. I've seen some of those in a few comics, but I can't wait to see a model for that. And then you've got your gunship. This is a 320 point model. It has not been released yet, obviously, but again, there's a lot of fan art out there that's really cool for that. You got your index. And there you go. So Aliens vs. Predator, The Hunt Begins, Unleashed. So if you're an AVP fan, do yourself a favor, buy it. You know, with games like this, you don't know how long they're going to be around, especially for, you know, franchise stuff. Protos has had this game out for a while, even though the Kickstarter was, you know, a little rocky to start. It is out. The 2.0 version of the board game has been very well received. And then here you go. You got a little book for the Unleashed wargame rules. So And the cool thing is it's 100% compatible with Warzone. And I've heard of people who run tournaments where they allow the Aliens and Predator fight the Warzone armies. And I think that's just really cool because there's so much narrative stuff you can do with this. And the Warzone book, it has all the armies listed in one book. And I think that a lot of the third-party companies are doing this. They're putting all the rules for all the factions in easy reference books like this. And I'm just really excited about that. And like with Warhammer 40K 8th edition, you know, they're putting out 5 books to cover all their armies, which, you know, they need that many books for that many armies, but they're all clumped together, which, again, you know, if you have the rules for every army, you know, you're gonna be buying more models than you usually would because you already have the rules for it. Like you might be playing, you know, one of these armies and then be like, let's see, I wanna try a different faction, and then you'll buy a model for another faction, and then there you go. I know I've bought already a lot of figures from Warzone Resurrection just to convert to use for AVP, like Golgotha, this character. Like Golgotha, like she makes a great conversion for an alien hive, like hybrid, and like a lot of these would be really cool to like convert to turn into like half alien kind of affected, you know, characters. Or if you want you could take, you know, one of the Oriental sections out of here from one of the other armies and do like a Yutani specific army, or not, or you can just say, you know, like, hey, you know, the Cybertronics are fighting against Wayland Yutani for superiority, because again, this is the lore of Warzone is that it's a bunch of corporate factions that took over the universe, and Aliens vs Predator has the Wayland Yutani Corporation, which just pretty much bought out everybody. Until, of course, in Resurrection, Walmart bought them out. But, you know, maybe that's not canon. Let's just pretend it's not. Anyways, so that's my review and my my walkthrough on Aliens vs Predator Unleashed.